What's up, Broncos country? Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown here by Chat Sports. My name is Moose, filling in for Matthew Peterson today. And you should be happy. There is some movement, some good news surrounding this little Courtland Sutton extension update. Came in yesterday, I was reading a little article, and I was thrilled to see this news. In fact, Courtland Sutton kind of talked about where he was with the talks with the Broncos about his extension, and here's exactly what he had to say. My team has had a really good conversation with the guys up there in the front office, and I think it's working in the right direction. Ultimately, you just want to know that you're working in the right direction. I think they see and have seen what I have brought to the team. I'm open and I'm optimistic about the fact that I'll be able to be here for the rest of my career. Doesn't that just put a smile on your face? Doesn't that just make you want to run through a brick wall? How can you not love Courtland Sutton? But the question now becomes, what is he looking for in terms of money, and does it make sense with the Broncos' payroll to pay him what he's asking for? Now, before we get into any of the nitty-gritty details, if you are ready for the 2025 Broncos draft, which is less than a week away, hit that thumbs up button for me. I'm ecstatic. If I could give it 2 thumbs up, I totally would. So do me a favor, lock us in, hit that thumbs up button. All right, let's talk about Courtland Sutton's last couple of years with the Broncos. Obviously, an extension is due. He performed outstanding last year, one of his best career years, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns. And look, finding the end zone has never been this guy's problem. I would like to see his yards go up a little bit higher. I would like to see his receptions go up just a tick. But when it comes to solid production on the field, Courtland Sutton is by far and away the Broncos' best receiver. There's no question about it. However, is he worth what he's currently asking for? Now, Spotrac currently estimates that he's going to get a 3-year, $80 million contract, which, if you do the math, comes out to $26.6 million per year. Now, again, to me, that's a little steep, and I would question maybe here or there if that's kind of what we're worth paying him, because how much these wide receivers in the NFL are getting paid. But this is what Spotrac currently projects him as. Now, is he going to receive that kind of money? Again, that's up in the air. However, I do look at this as a opportunity for the Broncos and Cortland to kind of negotiate this deal. Now, when it comes to the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL, you're looking at $26 million is going to be outside of the top 10. So he's not asking for egregious money like a CeeDee Lamb or a DK Metcalf. But with that being said, we're still looking at a very sizable chunk of money. And this might be a little bit too steep for Sutton. I'm not saying he's not worth it as a talent, but for the production that you were asking for, $26 million, it's a hefty price to pay. Are we sure that he's going to give us the same productivity over the next couple of years? Now, I'll give you this. He has every right to go in there and say, who else is putting up numbers like I am in this wide receiver room? And the answer is nobody. It's really not happening right now. So he does have some leverage when it comes to being the number one option on the team. Yet $26.5 million or slightly above it, it's a pretty hefty number, as I keep alluding to. Now, again, before we get into all of the contract details and if that would actually happen, do you think Courtland Sutton is worth $26 million per year? Give me a Y for yes. Give me an N for no. Look, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm going to say no, but I'm also going to say I'm not like paying him 20. I think you can probably start around 23 and work your way up to about $25 million a year. Now, coming up, we do have some other Broncos wide receiver targets for the 2025 NFL Draft. If by chance an extension has not been reached with Courtland Sutton, you're going to have to potentially replace him. So who are the guys that could potentially take over wide receiver 1 for the Denver Broncos? Now, before we do that, I do want to give a major shout out to our friends over at Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets so much simpler, faster, and easier. My fiance and I love to go out and do like comedy events and theater stuff. Just part of our, getting in the habit of getting out and making a date night happen. And that's where Game Time comes in. I love this app. Let me tell you a little bit about them. They make getting tickets faster and easier, especially for those hard-to-get playoff seats. Playoff basketball is here, and prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA playoff tickets. So maybe you want to go see the Denver Nuggets in playoff action. I know I totally would. You can download the Game Time app and save up to 60% off buying those last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy events, and theater events. All you have to do is download the Game Time app, like I said, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS, that's CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. I'm going to put that in the comments and the description of today's video. Download the Game Time app. Lowest prices guaranteed. All right, so remember, the Broncos do have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 total draft picks in this one? Yeah, 7 draft picks in the 2025 NFL draft. And I'm on board with Petey when I say I don't think round 1 draft target for a wide receiver is necessary. In fact, you're probably looking at a day 2 or a day 3 pick for a wide receiver. So not a very deep wide receiver class. There have been a couple of guys that have climbed up boards like Luther Burden and Matthew Golden, but I don't think the Broncos need to attack that day 1. Now, with that being said, there are some day 2 and day 3 targets that I believe the Broncos could target that could make an excellent addition to the wide receiver depth chart. Starting with this guy right here, Mr. Kyle Williams, the wide receiver out of Washington State. Now, Phil Simms has Kyle Williams as his second wide receiver on this year's big board. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but he does have some pretty interesting characteristics. 5'9", 190 pounds, so he's got that lean, slender body that you're looking for. He was incredibly productive last year in college football, ranked 14th in touchdowns and 8th in receiving yards. He's got outstanding deep ball tracking talent and vertical separation. So kind of like Courtland Sutton, getting down the field and making those big-time play catches seem to be what he's really, really good at. Now, again, in 2024, I have no gripes about what he did on the field. But is he worthy, or is he going to give you, I should say, that same productivity year 1, year 2 in the NFL? I mean, that remains to be seen. I wouldn't think so, because why on earth would everyone have him so low on their lists if he wasn't a for sure thing in the NFL? I think he lacks a little bit of speed on his intermediate routes. I think trying to create a little bit more separation, maybe putting on a little bit more weight is something that he needs to do. But for a wide receiver 2 coming into the 2025 season, I think he's a pretty good idea. I would not have any problem with the Broncos selecting him on day 2 or day 3 of the NFL draft. Which leads me into my second guy, Elic Ayomanor. Now, Petey has talked about him on the channel before, and I'm going to kind of combo these two guys, actually. I'm going to put Tez Johnson in as well. Tez Johnson played with Bo Nix back at Oregon, and the reason I'm kind of comboing these two guys together, they play very different styles of wide receiver, but let's start with Elic, for example. He's 6'1", 206 pounds, so he's a big guy, pretty fast, 4.4 40-yard dash from Alberta, Canada, and set a school record at Stanford with 294 receiving yards in a 29-point comeback against Colorado. Now, when it comes to Tez Johnson, the exact opposite. 5'10", 54 pounds. This dude is slight. Just for some reference for you, I'm 5'9", 185. I'm 30 pounds heavier than this guy. Look at me. This is what you'd be getting, but 30 pounds lighter. So I'm not super high on Tez Johnson. With that being said, he learned how to use his weight to his advantage. He was great in the swing game last year for Oregon with Dylan Gabriel. So comparing the two, I think these are pretty comparable numbers, right? Both play different styles. Elic's more of the over the middle of the field, longer, more drawn-out wide receiver, and Tez Johnson's going to be in the quick game. So either one of these guys could add an extra element to the offense here and another weapon for Bo Nix, which I don't think anybody would ever have a problem with saying. But if I had to take my pick out of these two guys, I'd probably go with Elic simply because he's got the NFL body that you're looking for. Whereas I feel like if Tez Johnson were to meet a linebacker over the middle of the field, good luck. If he gets popped, he might break an arm, and that's no exaggeration. So Out of the two of those guys, I'd say Elick is probably my number one choice, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Broncos decided to go day 3 pick with Tez Johnson as well. My last guy is actually one of my sleeper picks in the 2025 NFL draft. I don't know why more people aren't high on this guy. Torrey Horton is a ridiculous prospect out of Colorado State. Now, he did get injured last year, so his 2024 stats are a lot to be desired. With that being said, what he did in 2022 and 2023 was sensational. He's got natural ball tracking capabilities. He played center field in high school, so he's really light on his feet, understands angles and how to, attack a certain position, and I just love the way he looks on the field. The eye test is a serious pass. Now, it's Torrey Horton up on screen here, so like I said, those natural ball tracking capabilities, though, that to me is something that you can't really teach. It's kind of like hand-to-eye coordination. If you have it, it's great. If you don't have it, it's really, really hard to teach. And again, his career at Colorado State was really, really great in 2022 and 2023. That 2023 season, almost 100 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns. The picture of consistency. And I think the reason that he's slid so far is because of that injury. And a lot of people are like, well, we didn't get to see a lot of him in 2024, so that's going to hurt his draft stock. But I think with his size, his natural ball tracking capability, he's fast, he's fluid, he understands how to get separation in his route breaks. He's got a great route tree, so he runs a multitude of routes. I think he's the sleeper pick of the draft, 100%. And whatever team lands him, hopefully the Broncos, they're going to get a certified wide receiver 2, in my opinion. Now, will he ever be a wide receiver 1? Hard to say. But I think straight out of the draft in 2025, for whatever team he lands on, certified wide receiver 2 outside of maybe the Cincinnati Bengals with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So name a wide receiver draft prospect the Broncos should draft. I'm going to stake my claim right now, plant the flag in there, and I'm going to say Torrey Horton. But you can put that in the comment section below. That's going to do it for us on today's episode of the Broncos Breakdown. Remember to subscribe, like the video, and share this with a Broncos fan in your life. We're trying to become the premier destination for all things Broncos here on YouTube. Until next time, be cool.